What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of 27Q alongside that man who's getting ready for some fights, some boxing, some NFL talk, two-time Super Bowl champ, number 27 with the New York Football Giants, and should have his jersey retired. Mr. Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Quinones. What's going on, B?
Man, nothing much, man. Shit, I can't even get in the ring of honor right. So right now, so I doubt they retire the jersey.
Listen. The Ring of Honor. That's a foregone conclusion.
No,
I saw your facial expression. Yeah, I pushed that.
I'm just messing, man. That doesn't bother me as much. Man, it'd be great if I got in, but it doesn't bother me as much.
Listen, I mean, I was watching 2011 the other day, Giants and Packers, man, watching my big number 27 just rolling and barreling people over.
Tote the rock.
Speaking of which, by the way, always good to catch up with you, my friend. All right, speaking of running backs, your guy, man, Saquon Barkley. You got that July 17th deadline right around the corner, trying to figure out what's a fair deal or not. I saw some conflicting reports, 12.5 million, 14 million on the table, rejected. I guess you can speak to this better than anyone can. Tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Isn't it typically all about the length of guaranteed money, right? That's probably the most important when you're looking at a contract like this. Is it the length of the contract? Is it the guaranteed or the guaranteed money?
It's the guaranteed money, no question about it. That's what Saquon's dealing with right now. We spoke about it on the last show. It's not about the number. The big number that everybody hear is how much of that big number is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people don't know that these contracts are a certain percentage of it guaranteed. If you sign a 4-year deal and you get all of your money in the first 2 years of that deal, year 3 and 4 you could be cut. Year 3 or 4, you're in trouble. You never know. So that's and that's just the glory of it. But Saquon, I just think he wanted more of that 38 million or whatever it was they offered. I think that he wanted more of that money to be guaranteed versus what they offered.
So a couple of schools of thoughts here, right? He came back healthy. You said he was going to be poised for a monster season. I wrote him off, man. I thought he was a shot fighter. He shut me up.
1,300 yards, man. 1,300 yards rushing, close to almost 2,000 all-purpose yards, if not over 2,000. I mean, shit, you can't get no better than that. I mean, people ask me if I think he's worth it. Take that production away from the Giants, and they might not make the playoffs.
So that's kind of where, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So how much of this, speak as a player now, how much of this is, man, you're paying the quarterback how much? And I'm about 60 to 70% of this offense?
Yeah. Saquon is a lot of running backs you can find them and replace them and do whatever you want to do like they've been doing for years, But you can't replace 26 just like that. You can't just go out and get a guy to come in and do what he's going to do for you. You can't go find a guy that's going to come in, lay it on the line in the passing game, run the ball hard, bringing electrifying the fans, doing some unbelievable, amazing stuff, physically. I think he's worth it, man. I think they a $40 million deal with 25 or 26 of that guaranteed is
how many years?
4 years.
So if you go, if you're talking 4-14, now you're talking 56, and then what? 25 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They're never going to give him that, and I don't even think he's asking for that much. But I think a team that has the money to do that, with a generational talent like Saquon, you definitely have to open up the checkbook when it comes to him. That's just what it is. And I think the deal they offered him, I think half of him still ranked number 6 out of all the running backs in the NFL for salary wise. And I think he's better than everybody. That's just me. I think he's the best running back in the league still right now. So, I mean, to be the number 6 highest paid running back in the league with this contract that they offer is I don't know.
So again, this was a report. Their best offer includes just 19.5 million guaranteed. So on surface value, you're like 20 million guaranteed, but then you're like, do you take it? Do you run with it? I don't know. How much of this is we need to see you duplicate what you did last year, coming off 2 seasons of injuries, do it one more time for us? Or do you think that's crock shit?
Well, now they're offering them a multi-year deal. That's it. They sign him. That multi. Don't give me one more year, and I don't think it's that. I think he can do it if you stay healthy. I mean, football is football. We all know you get hit, you get hurt. So that's the luck of the draw that can happen. And I just don't think he's going to take that chance. But no, one more year. I don't think he wants to play on this franchise tag. I mean, the Giants franchise, man, I know I wasn't going to play on the tag. We just had to get the number right, you know. I think that's more about what this is. I don't think he's planning on that tender. I just think he's going to, sign this deal once they give him what it is he's looking for. And I don't think he's going to sign it, if it's not that. I actually believe he'll be okay with sitting out before signing that.
Yeah, see, I mentioned this to you a while back, and I've said it a couple times. My gut tells me this is kind of going now to a slippery slope here because, like you said, right, you feel you're worth something, but it's how much do I want to pay you for your production, right? 1,300 yards, 4.4 yards a clip, 10 touchdowns, caught 60 out of the backfield. You mentioned, 1,900 all-purpose yards. We saw what he did late in the season. We saw what he was able to do in that playoff win against Minnesota. Jones had himself a game. How much of Daniel Jones's success do you believe is tied into Saquon Barkley? So I guess, to follow up, you take Saquon off that offense. Is Daniel Jones a $40 million quarterback? Is he putting up 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 12 picks, and, rushing for another 6 touchdowns and adding 700 yards? Or is he a beyond pedestrian average quarterback?
No, I think he'd have to do too much. I think he'd have to do too much. There's too much of a load that'd be on his shoulders and pressure that I don't think he'll be able to overcome because of the absence of Saquon.
They just don't pay running backs anymore. Look at some of the running backs that are out there right now as free agents.
But those guys were the ones that they opened. Zeke. They broke the bank for him. They went in, got him an $85 million deal, like $35, $40 million guaranteed or some shit like that. Dallas did, and now he's not even on the roster, right? But this is why they choose not to play running backs, because when they do this, stuff happen like what happened with Zeke. Zeke great back, like don't get me wrong, but that's why they don't, because now they're in an open bank for them. He's gotten his guaranteed and didn't give much production for what they gave him.
Well, I go back, remember the contract that Todd Gurley got, and at the time McVay said, "I'll never overpay for a running back again." I mean, that blew up in their face, right? With all the injuries, and then I think he finished his career with Atlanta. I mean, I believe that a deal will get done, but I understand both sides of it. It's a business. You're coming off a great season, but 2 out of the last 3 you've been injured. But I also can take a step aside and say, you take them off this offense and they're going to friggin' struggle. Now,
yeah, it won't be pretty if you take them off the offense. I'll tell you that now.
So they've got until July 17th to work out a new deal, as New York placed a $10.1 million franchise tag on him, which is yet to be signed. And it's funny because that number a couple of years ago was only like 10.09. So it really has gone up, which is utterly ridiculous. It shows you the way the league looks at the running back.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, hell, the life expectancy of a running back in the day, if you got 3 years, that was a career. If you got 5, you're like, that's not bad. If you played almost a decade, that's.
Yeah. Hey man, it just doesn't look. I mean, I tell kids all the time, man, when I'm talking to them, guys playing running back, and I've been working these rivals camps, these Under Armour camps, and I'm working with some of the best backs in the world, some of the best high school running backs in every day you will ever see. I've seen them. I've worked with all of them. I talk to them about this type of stuff all the time, and they want to play running back, regardless of what's happening, what's not happening. They want to play running back. They in there. They're locked in. And I'm still thinking, knowing having all of the like knowing everything, what they know will come with the position, and still, but want to play it like they want to do is, I think, it's special. But I let them know, man. I give them the game. Y'all sure y'all want to do this shit? Like, y'all want to play this shit because they ain't paying the shit. They're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're not giving you guaranteed bread like that. There's not a lot of money. While you're looking at all these other guys make this bank, and these quarterbacks, these wide receivers, defensive ends, and all these people make this big bank. While one of the 11 that could be one of the biggest parts of the success of the team, they don't want to pay him shit. So I tried talking to these guys and letting them know, man, but they locked in on playing running back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough position, as you know. It's high collision. He wants a multi-year deal. He said he's prepared to sit out. He would guarantee $22.2 million over 2 years if he were to be franchise tagged next season as well. I mean, look, if you're talking to him right now, sitting out, to me, I understand you're taking that stance, but at what price? I mean, the poster child for that is Le'Veon Bell, and look what happened in his career. I mean, he was on the ascending as almost like a Hall of Fame running back, and then he sat out, and his career went.
Now he's boxing. Now he's boxing. He's throwing it. He's letting the leather fly now.
Well, Saquon's related to Iran Barkley, so there you go. I mean, maybe. Would you sit out there? Would you sit out?
Saquon got to stay out of that ring, man. He can't get in that ring. That's not something to be played with. You can't play boxing. You play football, basketball, soccer, cricket, softball, all of that shit. You play that shit. You don't play boxing. It's like that for a reason. Stay out of that ring.
Would you sit out?
Would I sit out? All depends on it all depends on my security, where I'm at, as far as my bank account and my money at that time. Could I afford to sit out? A lot of that stuff weighs in, and I'm pretty sure he can afford to sit out after being the first round draft choice, making all the marketing money he's made, a lot of the sponsor money he's made from these different brands and stuff like that. Guys are making crazy amount of money off the field as well. So, I mean, if I'm today's athlete, with them making the type of bread that they're making off the field, I may consider sitting out.
So
I'm consider that.
Now he went a different direction from Asian wise. He added Ed Perry for contract negotiations. He's got an agent, a rep from Rock Nation. Perry's with CAA. Is that the norm? Like, I got two guys, competing agencies. I want one to deal with this. I want one to deal with that. I mean, that kind of.
That's all of my guys for me had a whole firm of agents, and everyone was in charge of something for me, right? I had somebody in charge of marketing. I had somebody in charge of contract negotiation. That's mainly the two things. I had a publicist. That's mainly the two things that you really need to be negotiating, as far as your agent is concerned. I think having two is a little bit of conflict of interest. Number one, one wanting to do something, show up and go somewhere, and the other one don't. Say it's just a whole bunch of stuff. I use athletes first for my guys. Was recruited and signed by Justin Schumann. He was my agent all 9 years in the NFL. Never had one of the best agents ever because he let me know what I was worth. He told me, "You're crazy. They're not going to give you that. I wouldn't give you that. You're crazy. This is right here. The deal that they have is more than what they had when they offered. So you need to take this one."
So did they go after you, or were you looking for a rep coming out of college, or once you signed?
For a rep coming out of college.
Okay.
Got him out of college. That's, my father-in-law, my father-in-law, not my now father-in-law then, was sifting through these guys. He, big time, pharmaceutical salesman, traveling all over the world, dealing with all these different types of people. So while I was in college, doing my thing, he was sifting through the agents and trying to see who was who's best, what was best fit. And he didn't find the best fit for me. He found the best fit for him because of the type of guy he is, what he wanted me to be as far as the family. So my agent had to have a wife, all of that stuff like that, because those guys understand and know, how things go. You don't want to pick a guy like I've never seen my agent out in a club with any player. I may have seen him in a lobby of a hotel before something like that, or some sort of event or something like that. But I've never seen my agent out in the club partying, taking shots, drinking with me, smoking hookah. I've never seen him do that. So that's we had a great relationship. And I made a lot of money with him. I can't ask for nothing more than what I've gotten from him. So, but I think having two different agencies do different things for you. I just think that's a little bit.
Well, you got two people talking in two ears, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to one person settling you down and saying, "Look, man, you're good, right? But you're not worth X, Y, and Z." Like your agent
Mm-hmm.
said to you, right? It was from the Marion Barber contract.
Yep. Marion Barber got $42 million over 6. And he had like, I don't know, 16 or 17 of that guaranteed. And I felt like I was better than Marion. I felt like I was better than him. I mean, we got drafted in the same year. He had a little bit more snaps than me because he started fairly. He went to Dallas. I think he sat behind, I want to say, Thomas Jones, I want to say.
Felix, was it Felix Jones?
No, not Felix. Who was it? Who's the running back at Dallas at that time? I can't remember who it was, like when we came into the league. I can't figure it out. But he sat behind whoever that was for 1 year. Felix Jones is younger than us.
Okay.
So whoever the running back was at Dallas at that time, 2005-ish, around there. I can't remember who it was. But I know Marion Barber got a lot of burn, though.
2000.
Is that 2005 season.
I want to pull it up. 2005. That was Julius Jones.
Julius Jones. That's what it was.
Yeah, right church.
So yeah. So Marion went in and he split carries with him year 1, and I think year 2 he was starting.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
I didn't get an opportunity to start till year 3 after Tiki retired. So he had a little bit more. He had a little bit more production, I guess you can say, than I had because of the time and the carries he had prior to me being a starter. So. But I felt like I was better than Marion, and I wanted that same contract, if not more.
Yeah, well, earlier in your career, you were that short yardage back, right?
I had so many different things against me on why they shouldn't pay me the type of money they paid Marion Barber. I'm doing short yardage and goal line. I'm splitting time, like all of that shit played a part and killing it for me. But I'm happy. Got what I got. I'm doing really well now. I'm good with it. Got 2 Super Bowls, made a lot of money off the field. Met a lot of good people, good resources. Can't ask for no more than that.
No, you can. And we talked about this the last time, right? So if, say, you were overlooked and you didn't go with the Giants, Cowboys had the next pick.
Cowboys had the next pick, and I could probably tell you that I probably would have went there.
Yeah, you wanted to play. Tight end.
Huh?
You wanted to play tight end if they said line up as tight end.
I told listen. I don't know if I gave you the story. So we're at my pro day, right? And the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals and I think the Denver Broncos shows up. I got all the teams there. It was coming. Working out at running back, doing stuff like that. The tight ends coach, I think last name was Brewster from Cleveland or Cincinnati, one of the two, said, hey, you ever thought about playing some tight end. I want to see you run some routes. I want to see you do some tight end, some drills. I looked at him. I told him, I'm going to do this because you're asking me to do this and to show you that I'm pretty much him and I'll make anything look good. So I'm going to do it. But I'm not playing tight end. So if you guys are really thinking about drafting me as a tight end or picking me up as a free agent as a tight end, don't even think about it. Just let me keep my peace. Don't bother me. He looked at me. Like, oh, okay.
So even if they said, look, you're too big, we want you a tight end, you might be a short yardage back in another life, but we like the way your build is, we'll sign you. You would have said no?
Yes.
Man, I gotta call the bluff on that one. You're playing in the NFL, man.
Doesn't matter. Playing in the NFL position I never played. So I'm not having fun.
Yeah, you probably
I'm not
would
getting paid that much money.
Yeah.
If I'm, of course, they're not going to draft a guy who play at a position who's never played. So I wouldn't have been making any money. They probably would have cut me like after they saw that I wasn't going to be good like they thought, and I'd been screwed. So fought for what I wanted. I wasn't really fighting for them. I just told them, don't draft me.
You would have been, man. I had a cup of coffee. I did radio in Ohio. This is no disrespect to Ohio. I hated it. You would have been miserable in Ohio.
I could believe it. Cold as shit.
Snowed in September. Who needs that in our life?
No, bones and shit cracking 10 months out of the year from cold and it's nasty. Nah, I'm
good. Were you like half-assing it? Or did you run your
No,
route
I did it.
purpose?
I did it. I did the drills. I did everything.
Yeah.
Did everything they asked me. I just told them I'm not playing tight end, so don't draft me.
So you think ultimately the Giants and Saquon are going to get a deal done and he's not going to sit?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I want them to get one, and I think he deserves what he's asking for because if you take him away, the team is not that good offensively. I think they'll get a deal done, though.
But don't you think the Giants know that? Not to,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Don't they know you take this guy, you take him off of the field, and he's not part of our offense? It's not like, no disrespect to Breida or other of the backs. You can't put that.
You can't go out. You can't go out and find another Saquon Barkley. He's not one of those guys you can just say, "Oh, he's a running back. We'll find one." He's not one of those type running backs. He is one that you're not going to find. It's just not. And then they had a lot of good draft prospects, in this past draft, and they passed on them.
Yeah,
because they were confident that they can get a deal done with Saquon Barkley.
It's just amazing how the running back position is it's by committee. I can get away with one or two guys, and that's it. I don't need 1,500 yards anymore.
1,000 yards to get you there, 800 yards to get you there. Straight production, man, and not a whole lot of, I don't know, man. I hope they get it done because our team isn't going to be the same without Saquon there. So he needs to be there.
Did you hear about this Twitter spat between Asante Samuel and Sauce Gardner, and then Darrell chimed in?
No.
So they were talking about, all-time great corners and defensive backs, and they kept going back and forth. And I guess Samuel initially tweeted like an ESPN poll of players, coaches, and executives that named Gardner the NFL's second best corner going into 2023. So it kind of kept going back and forth. And I guess he slipped his name into the conversation about, Darrelle Revis and, Revis Island. And he basically was saying he doesn't feel that Gardner respected him because he's like an all-time, great player. So Revis got thrown into the fire in this one and, basically said in so many words, and you can appreciate this, a Hall of Famer doesn't drop a sure interception in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, 2007, that ball should have been picked.
It should have been picked, but he dropped it.
It went right through. Right.
Darrell said that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Did you played against Revis?
Yeah.
Or the Jets?
Yeah, he was with the Jets.
So,
And I think where else he went to?
yeah, because
Patriots?
that was, well, he bounced around a little bit. Tampa, New England.
I played with the Jets though.
Yeah, the Christmas Day, yeah.
Hmm.
And what about, and obviously against Samuel as well. I mean,
Yeah. I played Ashante in New England. And I think where else he went? Philly?
yep,
Was it Philly? Yeah. When they had that monster team they thought they could put together and they'd make the playoffs.
the dream team,
The
2000.
dream team, and they didn't make the playoffs that year. This isn't basketball. Can't
Yep.
do that.
That was the Victor Cruz game, and you caught a touchdown on a wheel route, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cruz had 2
They had
touchdowns.
Nnamdi Asamoah, I think, on that team. They had
Vince Young.
some yeah.
Yeah, I totally. I for some reason I mean I should have known that, obviously, the Christmas Day game. Who? So how do you define lockdown? Like when someone's like, well, you're not going to throw to his side. Doesn't that show that the respect you have if you're not throwing it to his side?
Listen, lockdown corners is for like they don't come that often. Darrell Reeves was that at the beginning of the snap, should I say. First second to a second and a half, 2 seconds, his man was locked down. I credit and no disrespect to any of the corners or defensive backs out there. If you're playing on a team with a shitty defensive line, it does not matter how good you are, you will get picked apart because the quarterback has too much time in the backfield to dissect the defense and get the ball to the open man. If your defensive line is good, it'll make any corner look good, and
Yeah,
that's facts.
yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of times when you sit there and say a linebacker who has 100 tackles a year is a great linebacker, well, maybe it's because the back's getting through that first line of defense, right? So, I mean,
Right.
it's yeah, I enjoy the uh the back and forth with some of these younger players, you know. And then, I mean, Asante, look, man, you Revis is a Hall of Fame. He's going to the Hall of Fame, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
All I
Yeah.
got to do is show
I mean,
you this
Reeves.
the ball going through your hands.
Yeah. Reeves is he might be top 2, 3 corner of all time, man.
Who do you think was one of the better, corners, DBs to kind of come up and play the run?
Oh, Brian Dawkins, easy. Him and Troy Polamalu,
Safety.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Charles Woodson. Yes, he's gonna come up and play the run. He's
I
gonna
saw
stick
you
it in
gave him
and play the run.
you gave him flowers on IG. You gave him his flowers.
Yeah, because nobody played corner like that. Nobody played corner like that. That man was coming in there to try to hit me. He in his multiple times on film prior to playing us, games and games before, he's doing the same thing. He's coming up, try to fill the hole, try to, do what he was, his part, play his role. He covered, he had really good feet, really good hips, in and out of breaks. Uh, he had great hands, tackles, pass breakups. I mean, you name it, he had it. Like the guy was at the top of the league in every single category for like 10 years straight.
Yeah. Is that when these guys jump and they play the run like that, or you see them come in blitz from the corner, is that instinctual? Like, is that sometimes they just read what's given to them and they know, all right.
Oh, it wasn't a blitz. It wasn't a blitz. So we was running slam, and the wide receiver goes and get the safety. Normally when you're running something, the wide receiver takes it outside, release to get the corner to turn his back. So you can't really see what's going on. Well, with the wide receiver going up to get the safety, he had to make it at an inside release. So Charles seeing that, and he filled off the edge because he knew right now I already had the ball. So he knew this wide receiver wasn't running the route. He was going to block the safety. So he had no other job but to come up and try to come up and fill the hole. And that's what he did. He read that. That was straight instincts,
Right.
What he did.
But,
if the wide receiver would have had an outside release and ran down the field, then that play wouldn't have happened because he'd have been thinking that we were throwing the ball because he only got his back turned to the quarterback.
by the way, Revis, first team All-Pro. And I remember too, because, he didn't spend he played 5 seasons with the Jets, 2007, 2012, Tampa, New England, the Jets again, and then Kansas City. He cashed in with New England, by the way. 29 picks, 139 passes defended, 497 tackles. So you look on the surface and say, but then again, style play, not throwing him the ball. NFL 2010 all-decade, all-rookie, 7-time Pro Bowl selection, Super Bowl champ. So, I hate it when you guys play the Eagles for a variety of reasons. But to me, Dawkins was the definition of a game wrecker. He always had big games against you guys, man. He was a phenomenal player.
The greatest competitor I've faced.
Brian Dawkins.
Oh, yeah. They're not even close. Not even close. Play with the passion and the grit and the physicality. It meant something. He loved it. Loved his teammates. Loved the game. Loved the fans. Entertaining. He gave you what you wanted to see. Came in, it was physical, one of the greatest competitors, if not the greatest, like the greatest competitor I've ever faced.
Where do you
I'm giving you that for me. This is Brandon Jacobs' guy. That's my toughest competitor was.
Wow. That's pretty high praise, man. Getting popped by him probably wasn't fun.
He got me one good time. We came in and fit, and it was a nice little. It wasn't a collision, but I couldn't fight him to try to break the tackle because at the same time I was losing the ball. So I was like, shit, let me just go down and just live to see another play. I'm not gonna try to fight him, and this ball is damn near around my back already, and I'm trying to get it and fight for more yards. I'm just gonna take it. So it looked like he scooped me. I was just along for the ride, just so I didn't fumble the ball. So I got up and played the next play, man.
Oh, man, that's funny. 27 in Q with the 2-time Super Bowl champ, Brandon Jacobs, number 27, Rich Quinones here. All right, we got a week to go. Get your 84.99 ready, PPV.
84.99.
84 in the UK, I think it's under $20. That's not bad, and you get back change. So Crawford said something interesting. Hey, man, I got to give Earl credit. Could have jumped to 154. Boom. Here's the fight. Spence came out this week and said there's too many belts, something you've talked about for a while now. It's watering down the sport. But then I would turn around and say it's because nobody wants to take on the risky fight, right? If you're a champ and you've got if you're a champ and maybe you're holding one belt, to me, a lot of these guys will fight once a year, which is friggin' boring. You got one champion per division. I don't need that in this sport. I want these guys to fight. So, with that being said, do you kind of agree with what Spence says when we're talking about too many belts and the sport being watered down?
Yeah, I do. I definitely agree. There should be one belt in boxing. And I think that should be, I'm going to say 2 belts in boxing. And I think a unified champion should have the WBC belt.
Yeah.
And the Ring Magazine belt. Those are the 2 belts that makes you unified. But I'll say you shouldn't get the Ring Magazine belt until if you fought all of your challengers, your number one challengers. Guys that's like the next guy up in the ranking to fight you. You fight all the guys that you need to fight. You defend that belt against more talent about 3 times a year. And after you do that, I think that's when you should be crowned Ring Magazine. You got to earn that shit. You got to earn it. But I think one belt is enough. I don't know. So what belt you go with? Do the World Boxing, do the WBC and the WBO merge companies? Like, what do they do? Because those are the 2 most important belts out there. Is those 2. So what's more important? What do you do? I had a guy arguing with me on Facebook, talked about how long Kell Brook was a champion. Man, we talking about the freaking IBF. Nobody even wants that. That's why he had it so damn long. Like, because they started talking about his resume. Had Kell Brook in there. I'm like, I respect Kell Brook, but it took Kell Brook 10 years to fight Glassjaw Amir Khan that had been trying to fight since you know, the late 2000s, 2009 and 10. You know, it took him 5 years to fight the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. You know, like I said, I just don't think there's a whole lot of talent out there for 147. And talking about, you know, these guys' resumes and stuff like that. But back to the belt, yeah, I think one belt would be out of all weight classes. I think it would be, but just making a decision on what belt it is, the BC or the BO. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. My guy, Dougie Fisher over there, the ring will appreciate the little pop there. And I agree. I mean, that's kind of, you know, the Bible boxing. I look at how they have the rankings and, you know, pound for pound list. And look, I mean, people are never going to agree with lists. That's why they're friggin' lists. I mean, it's bar talk. It's barbershop talk. It's, you know, hanging with your, you know, your boys just, shooting the shit going back and forth. It's all subjective. And the other thing too, you got to start dealing with these sanctioning fees and whatnot. For me, I think when you start to get into the NABF, NABO, NABA, like regional belts to try to get you the higher, to try to basically give you a little jewelry to put in your chest, but also to say, hey, if you win a couple more now, you would crack. You know,
Right.
it's like minor league, so to speak, right? I'm making my way up from these regional belts, NABA, NABF, NABO, and now all of a sudden I can crack WBA, WBC, WBO. Again, I think we're a little more old school. Like I would be content with just one belt. But that being said, then it does make the sport, it's tougher then to pit some of these guys together per se. Because if I own the belt and I'm pound for pound the best in my weight class, then I basically will now pick and choose. That's why a lot of times I'm forcing you to either relinquish the belt or defend the belt. And that's what happens. These guys don't want to fight. And we get guys like Crawford and Spence fighting how many times a year?
None. No guys like that are fighting. I think boxing is. I don't think as much. The young guys are good. A lot of the younger guys are good. I can't wait for another year or two, you know, to see them up in the rankings and fighting for a belt. I don't know, man. Boxing I don't know, man. It's not the same. It's not like it used to be early 2000s, you know, late 2000s when you had the Floyd Mayweathers and guys like that, the Mosleys. Even though Mosley was a little older then, the Miguel Cottos and
Manny.
guys like that, man. You know, those guys were great. Like those guys are all great fighters, and they fought. You know, the Antonio Margaritos, guys like that was out there. He's fighting between 47 and 54. It was a good time in boxing at that point. You know, and I don't want to take nothing from the guys that's there now, but it's just that it's two people that we've been waiting to fight. No one else can satisfy you if it's not that fight. I'm waiting for Spence-Crawford. I'm waiting for Spence. Well, they're not gonna fight, so we got more fighters out there, and more and more fights need to be made. So who else would you like to see? Nobody. I want to see them too. Right? Okay, you go down to 135. You got Tank, and you got Shakur. You got Devin. You got those guys. You know what's going to happen. You know, again, those guys. I don't think those guys are going to get in the ring until they get to 40. 40 or 47. I don't think they're going to fight until they get up there. You know, as far as weight is concerned.
Yeah. It's a good point you bring up because think about it. What was it? 2015, it was Floyd and Manny. And by that time, I mean, yeah, we can talk about being the most, you know, viewed or purchased pay-per-view, but I mean, it was at that moment, it's like we're not really getting these guys in their prime. That was just reality because it kept going on and on and on. And I'm hoping this is a good fight. I'm hoping it's an exciting fight. But
I think it will be. I think it will be an exciting fight. I think it's going to be a fight. You know, a lot of people will be shocked, I think, on the outcomes of the fight and I shouldn't say the outcomes of the fight, how the fight will take place. I honestly believe. I went back, I watched the last 9 Errol Spence fights. And he wasn't in the ring with one guy that brings what Crawford brings. Not one.
Yeah, you ruffled a lot of feather. By the way, this is totally off the tangent. I love when we talk boxing, right? And we post it, and you get the most jackass goofiness from fans and perspective. And, I'm laughing. I'm reading somebody, Jacobs got hit in the head. That white boy doesn't know what he's talking. I'm thinking to myself, are they talking about Brandon? Are they talking about me? What are they talking? I mean, it's so funny, like the racial divide. When people start talking boxing, it's like, yo, man, we have our opinion, right?
Yeah, and people can't accept
if
that.
you don't like their guy
Yeah, I
or
don't like
kick
that.
against him.
I'm not rooting for Sam.
Yeah,
You
I'm
rooting
like,
for.
I'm laughing my ass off. I was like, I'm like, all right, this sucker. We got like, 2,000 views on this, and people are commenting. That's great. But at the end of the day, man, like, our opinion is our opinion. We're not hating on another fighter. You think that Crawford's going to dismantle Spence over 12 rounds?
That's my opinion.
I don't
That doesn't
see
make me
that.
right.
Yeah,
that doesn't make me right. Shit,
yeah.
Spence could get in there and knock Bud out. Bud can get in there and knock Spence out, and there will be no 12-round annihilation. Somebody got knocked out. It's just look at it. I'm just going with my gut and my instincts, the way I know the game of boxing, the way I know the skill of boxing, the science of boxing, the way I know it. I'm making that strictly off of my knowledge and what I know about the sport.
So to your point, Ugas, Garcia, Porter, Mikey Garcia, Ocampo, Peterson, Brook, Algieri. I mean, you can argue, right? Common opponents. The Garcia fight, I thought was a good fight because that was his tune-up fight when he came back from the car accident, right? I mean, and let's be honest, Danny Garcia a couple of years ago, we were talking about him as maybe even pound for pound, one of the best guys out there. Porter, we talked a little bit about this. How'd you stop Porter? Did you knock him out? Did you stop him late? Did you have to go to the distance? Crawford, to me, I think will give Spence fits early in this fight because of how he can move around, his ring acumen, the ring generalship, but he's also a technician. He's not going to put himself in harm's way. So for me, he might actually give up a couple early rounds, just kind of feeling out and not really testing that power of Spence. I mean, that could be the case early. And I think that's going to frustrate Earl Spence, which then I think Earl Spence is going to have to engage and start to come a little more forward.
He's going to be a little more reckless, and Terrence Crawford is one of the best fighters in the game while fighting on the retreat.
Well, I don't know but what makes you say reckless? Maybe impatient, which might open up the door?
No, I wouldn't say reckless. I mean, you'll get impatient and start trying to press a little bit more, start going forward a little bit more. Not going to wait anymore. He's going to go and try to make something happen.
So you brought up his last 9 fights. What about Crawford? Porter, Brook, Khan, Horn?
None of them have great resumes. I don't know why they single out Terrence Crawford. I don't know why you singling out Terrence Crawford when it comes to resumes. Who gives a shit about his resume?
No,
You're 2 good fighters that's going to get in the ring.
I'm giving you Spence. I'm giving you Spence's last 9. You said you went back and you watched Spence's last 9 fights.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is people want to make Errol Spence the better fighter because they say his resume is better.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. He hasn't been in the ring with Terrence Crawford yet. Right? Yeah, I went back and I watched all these fights. None of these guys are moving and countering like Terrence Crawford. None of these guys have his boxing ability. None of them. None of them. Ugas had 4 losses when he fought Errol Spence. And people trying to give him one of the guys that's on his resume, give me a fucking break, Rich. You gonna tell me Ugas is one of his best fights, and he goes on his resume and walked into the fight with 4 fucking losses? You kidding me? Come on, man. That just doesn't make any sense. But watching all of these fighters, watching all of these fighters, they don't possess the ability that Terrence has.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate, because people are going to watch this and be like, why are you dismissing Earl Spence? He's got power. He can move. We know about the right hand. We know he can go to the body. We know he's a smart fighter. We know he's a tough cat. We know he's overcome adversity. I feel as though, and again, I'm just playing, I got to counter some things here. I feel as though you're making Spence out to be Glass Joe.
No, I'm not. Errol Spence is a great fighter. Errol Spence is he I think he's a stone, he punches hard. He does have great good ring movement.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's not a counterpuncher. He's not a counterpuncher. He's going to make his own way. Is it? That's not what he does. And the guy that's moving around, like, I don't not Errol Spence's fighting style. I mean, he's exciting to watch. Got a lot of respect for him. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm a sweet science guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the sweet science fighter every single time, every time.
And that's a fair point. It's when you look at Crawford, the ring IQ, what he carries into the ring.
Yes, I'm going to pick the guy that moves around and fights on the retreat, can counter you on a retreat when you're coming forward. That's the guy I'm going to go with. I don't want to, the guy who walks somebody down going forward and not a great counterpuncher. I don't have nothing against those fighters, but that's Errol Spence. He's not a great counterpuncher, and he's going to walk. He's going to try to create something. He's going to be the aggressor for 12 rounds.
So if, let's just say, first couple rounds, Spence finds a home, and you mentioned Crawford, the acumen, the ring generalship, the IQ. What if now, 3-4 rounds in, all of a sudden Spence is starting to peck a little bit and actually fight forward, get inside, and starts to deliver some punishment, some body shots, really starting to make Crawford think a little bit. The complexion of the fight, in my opinion, then now, that momentum carries into the latter rounds, and we know Spence has punished.
Spence, if that happens early first 3-4 rounds of the fight, and he catch Terrence Crawford on some crazy stuff, and he continues to catch him because he's continues standing there waiting for him to punch. Yeah. Standing there in the line of fire and not moving, using his greatest asset. Yeah, if he's just doing that, then it's not going to even last long. It's going to be a 6-7 round fight with Errol Spence knocking Terrence Crawford out if he just stands there and get caught by punches. That's what Errol does. That's what you can't not stand there toe to toe with the guy. You can't do that. You got to move the ring. You got to use the space. As he's coming forward, you got to use your jab. You got to use your jab. You got to counter his jab. You got to pivot the ring, create space, continue to create space while staying a little bit busy.
Yeah.
Create space, stay a little bit busy. Pop your jab. Yeah. Throw try to counter that jab he got. Don't get in no forehead to forehead battles with him. Continue to create space. The whole fight, create space, and just use your jab and pop it out and wait for a great time until he's frustrated enough to start coming forward a little bit faster, a little bit harder. Then your skills come into play. That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, and who's to say he takes the bait, right? Because all of a sudden, if he's not being that willing dance partner and he's deciding, all right, I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not going to try to get inside and set myself up and maybe get knocked out. I mean, I like this fight because you do have the Punisher. You do have a fighter that's very smart.
Errol's a Punisher for real. Like, he is a finisher. Like, there hasn't been a lot of guys in boxing over the last 15 years that's a finisher like Errol.
Especially, right. Knocking a guy out in the first couple rounds is one thing, but doing it in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th.
Yes. He's a finisher, real deal finisher. I respect the guy a whole lot. I don't want people to think I don't respect him. I do respect him. I think he's a great fighter, but I'm just into the science of boxing.
It's fair enough. I mean, people watch the video, they see a headline, and right away they think we don't know what the hell we're talking about, or you can't stand Spence, or I can't stand Crawford.
Right.
It's like, what the hell, man?
I like when they call me a casual, Rich, on Facebook.
Someone called you a casual?
Guy called me a casual.
Oh, you're not messing with 27. You about to bark.
I'll be a casual. That's okay.
Called you a casual.
Called me a freaking casual.
Did you show him the belt?
I didn't show him anything. Man. I wasn't here to make this. I wasn't a guy on Facebook. He meant nothing.
I just find it tells you people are fanatical about the sport, which I love, man, but we all see things differently, and we all have it. Again, respect to these guys, man. I'm glad the fight's about to happen. I mean, I'd be a fool to sit there and say that Crawford's not a hell of a fighter. Of course he's a hell of a fighter. But I also can appreciate the adversity that Spence has overcome. And I think that counts for something because in a fight like this.
I mean, the guy was in a car accident, damn near died. You know, fighting for his life in the hospital. Went he in a coma for a little
He
bit.
had major issues, man. There was issues with the
Yeah,
eye. I mean, it took a long, it got
yeah.
messed
And
up.
came back finishing folks like nothing. So, I mean, I got a lot of respect for Errol Spence, man. I just think Terrence is a better fighter. That's it. If Errol Spence had a pay-per-view match against Sean Porter or anybody else, I'm buying it. I'm gonna buy it. I want to watch him fight. I don't have anything against him. I just like Bud better.
Yeah, you're not, no disrespect, man, but you're not paying $84.99 to watch Porter Spence.
No, I'll pay 60.
You
I'll
come
pay
up with that
60.
nice round number. 20 at 20 on the side to have some
Hey,
spicy,
that's
spicy margaritas.
so this has been coming up on my feed,
Go ahead.
and I get killed for this too, saying what I said. Tyson
Fire.
Fury and Francis.
Yeah. MMA. Yeah.
I said Tyson Fury's gonna kill him. What? What? Really? Do you not know? Tyson Fury's gonna kill him. I don't know how tall he is, but Francis is what, 6'6", 6'7", something like that.
Uh
But
I pull out right now. I mean, I just I can see that this, whatever the payday is, it's not going to shock me if this guy gets touched and he falls. It's a massive payday, man.
Tyson Fury's gonna kill that guy, man.
I
I'm
mean,
an MMA fan. I like watching these guys in MMA, but when you start coming over to boxing, and
it's
it just.
you can't
I
get
mean,
you can't
you got
sh-
a guy like Jake. You got a guy like Jake Paul fighting MMA stud,
yeah,
like MMA fighters, and he's whooping their asses. Like he's beating them.
yeah.
And he's not a, no, he's getting better. You know, I didn't like him at first,
No, you didn't.
but man, he's getting better. I mean, I honestly thought about going watch him fight against Nate Diaz because I knew it was going to be a shit show. I know it was going to be calling each other all kind of names. It was going to be funny. I thought about going August 5th out to Dallas.
Um yeah, I mean, listen, that's a money grab, man. I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Fury, I mean, and you're right. I mean, think about it. These MMA guys, they're instinctual. What do they want to do? They want to shoot it and get to the ground. You can't do that. You
Mm-hmm.
got to stay upright in boxing. That takes away pretty much 80 something percent.
Yeah.
And that's
It
why I
take
thought it
away
was
80. Yeah.
when
A
Mayweather and
lot of their
McGregor fought.
techniques are gone when you boxing. You can't grab, you can't kick, you
Or
can't do nothing.
anything. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, you said what you said. I mean, I listen, he touches him up. That's going to be it. Collect the check, get paid prior to.
I don't know how much they say it was gonna be in like Saudi Arabia. I guess these guys are making bread over there.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding? That's why you got everything going on with the golf. That's why the World Cup. I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, it's a payday, man. I'm trying to find out exactly uh if I find it, man. I'll text or tweet it at you. But I mean, they're getting paid, man. So listen, 25, 30 something. I'm just saying in general, you get touched on
Mm-hmm.
the chin, you go down. Hey, man, that's not a that's not a bad payday, even for the casuals like ourselves.
Yeah, the casuals, right? People are gonna probably see this. Brandon doesn't know anything about boxing. You just need to stick to football. How about you shut up? How about you be quiet? I managed fighters for years. You know, I managed the world champion. So I don't understand what's the casual and what I don't know about boxing. I'm giving you my opinion because you don't think that's what it is. I don't know about boxing because I don't respect Ugas and because I don't respect a young Mikey Garcia that's coming up from 140 to fight against a guy who's bigger than him. I don't respect that. I don't respect the Cal Brook who ran from Amir Khan all those years and they lived practically right next door to each other. I don't like Chris Algieri was a guy who had a cup of coffee, like you say, in boxing, understood the body science of the whole thing, and he made it some little success over it. I mean, come on, man. Like, come on with this resume talk. These are two great fighters, regardless of who they fought. Styles make fights either way, so no matter who won fought and who didn't fought. Like I said, if you want to go off of the resume and who's better than what, Errol Spence went 12 rounds with Sean Porter, and Bud knocked him out.
But that's
He
that's
was people say he was done, he was done, he was done. He was all out of bullets in that fight because everything he threw, it was taken, and he didn't know what to do. And
yeah,
that's why he looked like that in the fight. He didn't know what to do no more against Terrence Crawford. He was just in there really trying to get to the end of the fight, and he didn't make it.
yeah. No, it's a fair.
You know, you know?
It's a fair point. We get another week to kind of go back and forth. By the way, I'm flattered that you took one of the cues, a little cup of coffee there. That's like a short stint,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Chris Algieri had a cup of coffee, a little bit. What
What
was his record? Anybody know what Chris
Algeria
Algieri's
had
record
he
was?
had a solid career, man. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
he was able to
I'm
parlay
saying
that.
he had a cup of coffee as that guy a little bit. He
You know
got
what?
in there. He looked good
I
against somebody.
I always liked him. I always thought he was a well-spoken guy. I thought he was a tough kid, but he strung together. He had a couple notable fights. You know, he bagged some money and had
Yeah,
notable
yeah.
fights and put
But
together
are you gonna
a career.
but are you gonna put him on resumes and compare resumes to?
No, you can't do that. That takes away from that does a disservice to the guys that had much more better records and
Mhm.
careers and but again it's not you're not disrespecting the fighter. See, that's the problem.
No,
I think when you
no, I'm not.
disagree,
No,
yeah, you're just stating your opinion. That's it, and people got to get over it. That's it. I mean, it's like I get it, right?
this is but this is why we are what we are when we come to media and all this other stuff. Everything is opinion based, and everybody they're gonna either like you or don't like you, like what you said or don't like what you
yeah,
said. At the end of the day, I'm not a freaking people pleaser. I'm not going to say what you want to hear. I'm not going to say what y'all want to hear. Okay, I'm going to say what's on my mind and what my opinion is.
yeah.
So yeah, so just look at the video, write your comment, and go on about your business, please. I don't care if you don't like what I said. I might not like what you say.
With that being said, alongside the two-time Super Bowl champ,
Man,
27, the big dog, the original beast, Brandon Jacobs, Rich Quinones here. All right, big man. Listen, last word for you since you're rolling. I'm hoping the fans love the good humanities. We don't know if we're going to get it today. Are we getting good humanities?
oh yeah, absolutely. You can always get that, man, because because that's the type of person I am. I want to pride myself on having good humanities. I want to be able to go outside and speak to my neighbor, or help my neighbor out, or do something, a good deed for anybody, no matter the color or race. Having good humanities, please. Thank you. Yes, sir. No, sir. Please. Thank you. You know how I go, man. So that's what it is. Have good humanities. Take them wherever you go. Don't lose them. They'll make you a better person, regardless of what you believe in. Believe in yourself. Respect people. Love people. Peace.
Hey, and happy double birthday, by the way.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
You got a motorcycle?
No, I don't. I'm gonna get one though. I'm thinking. I'm researching right now.
How many times have you heard be careful?
I ain't hear be careful once. I just heard people say don't do it.
Oh,
Like Kendall told me the other day, when I post everything, like, no, I said, you had a motorbike, or you had a motorcycle for years and never crashed.
yeah,
You never died in the
yeah,
busy Jersey streets.
yeah.
Come on, man. Like, I'm used to speed. I done had a 1,600 horsepower car. I'm used to speed. That's faster than ain't that a lot of bikes. I'm used to speed. I don't have to get out there with a bunch of bikes on a car, with a bunch of bikes and a bunch of cars on 85. I
Right.
can wake up at 2 a.m. and get on my bike and go on one road and just zip up and down, get my rocks off and come back home. It's that simple for me. I don't have to be on the bike going fast every time I'm on the
Right.
bike. I don't have to be in my GTR going fast every time I'm in a GTR. That means the vehicles drive you, and that's when it's not safe. When you can't control your car, or you're not be smarter than your vehicle, and it drives you instead of you driving it. Like Jason Pierre-Paul, got a great story for that. Jason asked me, I got my GTR tuned. Jason was in the league, probably second year, third year, something like that. And I love Jason, so don't get me wrong. He's going to remember this. He's going to remember this. I know he will. He say, hey, man, let me drive. I said, man, you are too stupid to drive my car. He said, what? I'm like, I don't mean stupid like that, but you're not smart enough to overcome the temptation of speeding when you have this kind of power at your right foot. And you just, all you got to do is press down, the G-force and sit you back in the seat. And you feel that you're going to do that time in, time out, time in, time out. Every time you get in, you're going to do that. So I'm not letting you drive my car because first of all, I want my car and I kept on a teammate. But I say, you're not smart enough to own a fast car. What happens to Jason? Jason gets a contract, buys a Ferrari. What happened to Jason? I love you to death, JPP. I love you, bro. You know that. Like a blood brother to me. I love you. But I'm just trying to help people understand, like, your car can drive you if you're not smart enough to control the car. And that's not me. A bike isn't going to drive me. I'm going to drive the bike. I'm going to go fast when I want to go fast, not when it wants to go fast. It's simple, man.
Last word goes to the two-time Super Bowl champ, number 27, Brandon Jacobs. All right, B, don't forget, everyone. We'll put this up on the channel. Check it out. You can comment. You can call us casuals. You can agree. You can disagree.
Yeah, you can call us casual. You can call us
we don't give a shit.
You can call us pieces of shit. You can call us whatever you want to call us. You know, whatever.
Get those eyeballs, baby. That's all we want. Keep it.
That's it.
Agree to disagree.
They don't have to watch the whole thing, Rich. They can just watch 10 seconds of it. That's all we need. that view's gonna count.
Yeah. We'll keep re-rotating. All right, brother. Have a good one, man. I always appreciate it.
Man.
All right, be good.